Hello, I'm Attorney Dan Scott, and I want to talk to you today about a safety deposit box. Do you need one? What the risks are to home safes? And if you do get a safety deposit box, what should you put in it? And what happens when you die? So the first thing is, do you need a safety deposit box? Why isn't a home safe just as valuable to you as a safety deposit box? Well, remember that in most circumstances, even though the vendor will tell you that that safe will not burn up in a fire, I don't think you can count on that. And so if you're going to put really valuable things in it, you're not really protecting them from a fire. Now, if you've got your stuff in a safety deposit box, it's going to be protected from a fire. You can be assured of that. So what about robbery? You know, if you get a robbery at the house, I'm going to tell you something. They're going to be able to get into your home safe. They will not be able to get into that safety deposit box at the bank, most likely. Now, we see pictures or videos, I guess, movies all the time about how they break in and they get the safety deposit box, they open it up. Look, the chances of that happening to you is remote at the very best, probably almost zero, but it's infinitesimally small. So I don't think there's any risk that a robbery at the bank is going to result in them getting your stuff. So getting a safety deposit box is pretty inexpensive. You go to your bank, you can talk to them, you can get a small safety deposit box. And what you want to do if you get a safety deposit box, and I really recommend that you do it, if you get a safety deposit box, you need to be careful about who you let be signatories who can get into that safety deposit box. Because you understand that anybody that can sign in that safety deposit box can take everything out of it. Because what will happen is, when they go in, they're going to be able to take the box and put it in a private location, which you would want as well, and put things in it and take things out, close the lid, and they take it back and they put it right back in the slot. So just be sure that anybody that you put on it, that you trust them enough to let them have access to all of that. Now, I recommend that you have two people on it, you and someone else, so that in the event of your passing, you can get into the safety deposit box. This other person can, not you. You'll be gone. But the other person can get in. Also, what happens if you're on a trip and there's some reason to get in the safety deposit box? If you're not near the bank, you can't do it. So I recommend that you do put someone else on, but it's got to be somebody you trust. It's got to be somebody you trust. Now, here's the problem with home safes. First, I talked to you about fire. But the second problem, and really it's a bigger problem, and I just went through this. Robbers or burglars can get the safe and just using garden variety of tools. Now, not garden tools. I'm not talking about garden tools. I'm talking about garden variety of tools. They can get into that safe. Let me tell you what. It may surprise you, but sometimes folks lose the combination of the safe. They don't remember the code of the numbers. They wrote the number down, and what happened? Oh, it's been 2 years since I got in that safe, and so I don't really know what the number is, and so you're having to get it open. Let me tell you something. I got a safe open at my house with a crowbar and a hammer. A crowbar and a hammer. Now, you don't think burglars are going to have those tools? They are. So a safe at the house really is only going to be for things that you need quick access to, okay? Now, you got a gun safe, you want to put your gun in there, quick access to that, right? You've got jewelry that you wear all the time, but you want it at least in somewhat secure place, put that in a safe at the house. But just don't put things in the safe at the house that you believe that robbers can't get to, okay? All right, the third thing is, now I recommend that you do get a safety deposit box, and the third thing I want to talk to you about is, what do you put in the safety deposit box? Well, remember that you're putting a safety deposit box in your name for security. So you want to put valuable things in there, valuable papers. You know, one thing that people don't think much about, but your birth certificate is a pretty valuable document. Let me tell you, I've had to get my birth certificate twice, 2 times. And you know what? It took me months to get my birth certificate. Now, I wasn't born in Tennessee. I was born in the state of Georgia, and so some will say, well, that's Georgia, you know, but I don't believe that. I just think that you got to go through this bureaucracy. I tried to get a death certificate for somebody that died in Tennessee some 20 years ago. It took me 3 months, not 3 months, 3 weeks to get a death certificate, and that's in Tennessee. So remember, your birth certificate is a pretty valuable piece of information, and it's a valuable document. Your birth certificate of your children's pretty valuable. And you know, if your children don't have a place to put the birth certificates for their children, well, wouldn't it be great if you could put that in your safety deposit box? That would be cool for them. Don't worry so much about putting deeds to your house in the safety deposit box. A lot of people like to do that, but really, once it's recorded, that deed really doesn't, if it burns up, somebody steals the deed, it really is not going to matter much. But if you think it's that important, put it in the safety deposit box. If you've got keepsakes, that is, you know, you've got your grandmother's ring, it's been passed down, it was her mother's ring, her grandmother's ring, and it's something that you want to keep, what I call a keepsake that has value, and it has value to your family, even though it might not have value to a robber. Put that in the safety deposit box. I mean, how often do you get it out and look at it? Let's be honest here. And then maybe you've got jewelry, nice jewelry that you only wear on special occasions, okay? Maybe you wear that to your holiday party, your Christmas party, right? Go down and get it out of the safety deposit box. If you want to glam up, go ahead. But don't leave that jewelry at risk at the house in a drawer, or at the house in a safe, a home safe, that you're convinced burglars can't get into. And then the last thing I'll mention here today is I want to talk to you about what happens in the event of your passing to your safety deposit box. The law in Tennessee requires that upon notice of the passing of someone, the death of someone who's on a safety deposit box, when someone goes to get in the safety deposit box, if the bank knows that one of the people have passed, when you go, when the other person on the box goes, they will be required to inventory. That is, the bank will be required to inventory everything that's in that safety deposit box. So what does that tell you? If you're putting cash in your safety deposit box, it's going to be inventoried. If you're putting gold in your safety deposit box, silver in your safety deposit box, which I recommend that you do, by the way, don't leave that stuff around the house. Put it in your safety deposit box. That's one of the reasons you have it. But there's going to be an inventory of that, and it's going to be sent to the state of Tennessee. There's nothing wrong with that because, of course, your executor would disclose it anyway. I just want you to understand that there will be an inventory. Now, some people like to put the original will in the safety deposit box, and honestly, I recommend that you do that. Keep a copy at the house. But when you go in, when the second person on the box goes in after your death, the bank will let them take that original out of the safety deposit box. They'll note it when they do the inventory, but you'll be able to have the original will to offer it to the probate court to open the estate. That's one of the reasons why I like the idea of having the original will placed in your safety deposit box, so that if you pass, we know first where it is, we know what it takes to get it, and we can get it relatively easily. I mean, you don't have to open an estate the day after you pass, right? So the banks will be open, even if it's a federal holiday, they'll be open the next day or the next day or the next. But just remember that if you don't have anybody else on there, that is on the safety deposit box to sign, then you'll have to wait till your estate is opened in order to get into the safety deposit box. If you have a second person on there, that second person can go in and actually access the safety deposit box. There'll just be an inventory on it. But it won't be frozen, okay? It won't be frozen. There'll just be an inventory of it. I hope this was helpful. We talk about safety deposit box all the time, and there's so many little quirks that you have to think about. And I just wanted you to hear this today, so that if you're thinking about a safety deposit box, then maybe this will help you make a decision. Do I have one, or do I just rely on the safe at the house, which I don't recommend you do. Talk soon. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, would you subscribe to our channel? And that way we can let you know when we post additional videos. We do that all the time. Thanks for watching.